You get everything right, and then you forget to turn on one device, and it's all over. Word of the wise, never get a dog that sheds. Jeez. Good evening, everyone. Glad you're here. I've redone my studio a little bit. We are 90 degrees from what we were before, but tonight we're gonna hang out, play some games, and then at 7 o'clock we're gonna do a live podcast recording. So for the next little bit, I'm gonna start off playing some Smash, just like I did on Christmas Day, and then we'll get into whatever's next. So I'm gonna fix a stream output setting. It looks like this doesn't necessarily love me all that much. Let's see if I can't do that. Let's see. All right, doing some stream troubleshooting, but I think we're okay now, potentially anyway. All right, let's do it. We're gonna get into some Smash Bros here. Ooh, this doesn't like me. Ah. Ooh. I'm gonna do some troubleshooting here for a minute because it looks like my stream really doesn't like me right now. At least my internet. Let's see. Oh yeah, it has me jumping all around. Okay. Let's see if we can't fix this, shall we? So I'm going to restart this stream here in a second. I don't know what's going on. Got him. Oh, man. All right, let me fix. I'm going to move this up here. Because I just realized that that was covering the amount of stocks that were left. But also, I shouldn't have lost that the way that I did, so I'm going for the rematch. Oh, thought I would get him. Man, I'm just having a rough go at it tonight. Oh. Goodbye. Oh, what? Okay, that's better. And letting that happen. No way. I actually, oh, you mean Sephiroth? I've only played him once as a like a joke. I love the character as a whole. Like I love Sephiroth in general, but like I haven't really played around with him yet. But the last two releases, the last two DLC releases have been, I think, a really good makeup for the other ones that felt really lackluster. All right, I got one more on Smash, and then I'm going to switch over to Pokemon, and then we'll get started on some, we'll switch over to Pokemon, and then we'll get started on the podcast afterward. Aaron, man, if you're still here, how you doing? Look at the... Yeah, I forgot that was tonight. Yeah, I forgot it was tonight. Do you have any plans for New Year's? Any plans for the extra 2 weeks that you have off before the semester? That's just bad timing on his part, not mine. Oh, true. New roommate, or are you going to like village? Jeez. That guy took forever to go down. Oh, nice. Well, plus I imagine you're adding some, considering what you... I'm assuming you have 2 others as well? Oh, that's just bad luck on his end. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, the new roommates thing is always a little. Yeah, he was playing super campy there at the end, and Mewtwo actually has better range than I do, even though his tail has a hitbox. But I'll take it. All right, I'm gonna switch over to some Pokemon Sword. And switch up the scene. By the way, tell your friends, 21% off of merch for the Absurd Podcast Network. I'm wearing one of our hoodies now. 21% off because 2020 is over and we are looking forward to 2021. Just a few days left. I did too, but I think there was enough end lag on that he couldn't do anything, and I feel like he got excited by it too. To what?
Just to like a white or
Hey, I can change this one.
not a color, just so I can shine it on you. If that's okay.
I got you.
Do you need it for your background?
You're fine. Just turn it. There you go.
Sure.
I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't. I promise. This thing doesn't want us. Like, this thing has been really finicky though, so I apologize. Doubles. VGC rules. I forgot to turn on this light. Oh, because it's not plugged in. That's why. Never mind. I didn't forget. Yeah, no, I do doubles. I liked singles at first, but it's too stall based, and I like the strategy involved in doubles a lot. But I'm trying to decide if I want to make a change to this team. I don't know why that's there. We're just gonna move that away. Where's my Whimsicott? Yeah, see, I never actually played competitive until this series. I loved Pokemon, but I hadn't played since I think Gen 3, Ruby and Sapphire, and then I picked this back up again last year when I had my tonsils removed and had nothing to do but couldn't play Smash because that required me to be able to pay attention. There he is. Okay. Where is my Kova Berry? There it is. And then we're going to do... Actually, you know what? Rain teams counter me hard enough that I do want Sunny Day on this Whimsicott. Is that good?
Yeah.
Do you want it brighter?
Maybe. Yeah. It's good. Thanks.
All right, let's see if I can't sneak 2 games in and then switch over to recording. Oh, shoot. I didn't. Oh, no. Oh, well, we're doing this again. I keep forgetting to update my Clefairy's moveset, and it has the wrong moveset right now. Oh, well. Let me answer that in 1 second. So I think he's going to lead. Okay, I think I know what I want here. I want that with a Zapdos and Clefairy in the back. So I think our my Clefairy is supposed to have Follow Me, Dazzling Gleam, or Moonblast, Protect, and Helping Hand. Currently, it has Follow Me and Protect, Dazzling Gleam, and Brick Break because I used to have Clefairy be an option for activating my Incineroar's weakness policy. The strategy was to get Trick Room up, swap out everything, and then hit my Incineroar with Brick Break, but it never ended up doing that. I don't even go with Trick Room strategy anymore. So now the advantage here is that most people use Incineroar defensively, because he's a really good defensive Pokemon with super good bulk, so it's hard to kill him. So I use him offensively because his moves have great coverage as well. And 90% of the time, since online is best of one, they always fall for this. No one's expecting it. And I don't blame anyone for not expecting it. I fall for that kind of thing all the time. Bruh, is this gonna kill me? Oh, okay. Whew. Man. I cannot believe I didn't know Cinccino was that fast. So typically my strategy here is I proc weakness policy, I do speed swap on my Incineroar next turn, but this one I may not, only because um it doesn't really gain me a whole lot here, I don't think. Because his Whimsicott just can go Tailwind and game over. Now I just have to hope this doesn't kill. Okay, it won't. But Whimsicott might. Two crits on my Raichu. If it's gonna go on anyone, I'm glad it's the Raichu. I'm just glad that the Cinccino didn't do it 2 turns in a row. So I read that I thought his Cinderace was going to do high jump kick. I could have protected, and it would have been free damage on the Cinderace as well. But this gets the KO. And now I can bring in Clefairy with Follow Me. And there's no way he can't. I mean, he can't kill my... Yeah, there's pretty much no way that at this point he can kill my Incineroar, I don't think. Because I just Follow Me. Now, okay, yeah, so the only way he would have had to get out of that was if his Rillaboom had Fake Out, and he faked out the Clefairy, and then Moon Blasted my... I don't think he was expecting what happened. But I'm not really sure. Like, okay, so he max guarded, but we're in the sun. I'm +2, so I'm doing double damage. Oh, that was well played on his end. Okay, so there was another way out of that. But that's fine. He may actually win this off of that taunt, but we'll see. What I'm hoping he does is goes for the damage on Clefairy. And yeah, okay, this is what I thought he would do. So I was hoping he would Moonblast, and then he would use his Incineroar and go into my Clef. I mean, there's not much I can do about it, but... Yeah, he may actually win this one, especially if his Rillaboom is Assault Vested. Yeah, this has been story of my life. But I think he wins here, because if my so if he doubles Zapdos, or even if he just kills it outright after a Tailwind, my Flare Blitz will... Yeah, I don't know that there's a way for me to win this, to be honest, at this point. That taunt really messed me up. I wasn't expecting it. Rillaboom does outspeed Incineroar, but the problem is that my Flare Blitz will do recoil damage, but it's the only way to one-shot the Rillaboom. So if he goes for Zapdos, he wins. Okay, I don't think I still win this. There's a world in which I do. I just highly doubt it. I don't know why he wouldn't just go for the Zapdos there. He can kill it outright, but I'm pretty sure with Drum Solo. Yeah, I really needed that to do more, unfortunately. This is the story of my life, though. The last like 5 games in Pokemon have had this where I've had a really good lead and then I just lose it here. That protect taunt, that max guard taunt was really good on his end. Because yeah, I don't know that there's anything I can do here. I think I just lose. If Moonblast kills, then I just lose. Oh, it's Life Orb. Was I just not paying attention? Oh, there's a chance. Don't miss. Wow. Zapdos coming in clutch. Zapdos coming in clutch. That's a GG to my opponent. Whew. That did not need to be that close. I should have thought about the taunt possibility from Whimsicott. All right, I'm gonna go fix the Clefairy's moveset real quick. Yeah, I got real lucky there. I'll be honest. He must be invested in bulk on that Whimsicott a little bit. There's no way that should not have. Yeah, there's no way that should have left me alive. I don't think. Though Zapdos does have good bulk. But with how much damage that did, the Grassy Glide did, which gets +1 priority, so it's in the same bracket as any Prankster move when it's on grassy terrain. But with how much damage that did with Life Orb on the not Dynamax, when he was Dynamax, he had a move that effectively doubled in power, had a 50% damage increase because it was on. Basically, it was going to do double damage, like on top of the fact that it already does base 160 and normal Dynamax moves do base 130. So he should have easily wiped me out there, but I'll take it. I'm not going to complain too much here. I think Swampert's too good not to bring here. Once again, if you're hanging out, discount on all Absurd Podcast Network merch. 21% off because we are almost to 2021. Discount code is 2020 is over. So head on over to absurdnetwork.com/merch and go check it out. I'm currently wearing an Absurd Podcast Network hoodie, APN. So yeah, check it out if you want. And let me know what you think. You can pick up masks, mugs, stickers. Wait, what is this? What is this Tyranitar's ability? 99. This is the first time I've run into a Tyranitar not running Sandstream. But I don't even know what other abilities it gets. Unnerve. Okay, that's fine. I just switched. Yeah, I just switched back into my. So I don't want to Moonblast the Tyranitar because if it is running weakness policy, it will just do double damage to the Incineroar with Rock Slide if it hits. So I don't want to do that. I want him to do less damage. But I don't have any way to weaken that right now other than through my Incineroar's Intimidate. So this way I take a -1 Rock Slide if he hits, plus a Grassy Glide, which should not do as much damage unless he recalls it. Okay. Now, if he did max the Rillaboom. Okay, I guess we're going to see what happens here. If he Rock Slides, I might be, or if he Rock Falls, I might be in trouble. Go into Whimsicott. Just do it into Whimsicott. Don't do it into... Yes! Man, that could not have gone better for me. Whew. That could not have gone better. So he's probably going to assume that my Zapdos will be maxing here. So I'm going to actually protect this turn. If he doubles the Incineroar, good on him, but I'm not expecting it. I'm expecting him to actually switch back hitting his Incineroar. Yeah, so he brings back out his Incineroar, which is fine. I really needed that to do more damage, unfortunately. But I'm -1, so... Yeah. That, friends, is a problem. Yeah, my Zapdos dies this turn. Oh, he crit. Of course he crit. Because that's my luck tonight, is I get crit 3 times on something that has a 4.17% chance to crit. Oh, no, I'm pretty sure I lost this. I should probably just forfeit, but I'm going for it. because I'm still faster than his Tyranitar, and now I'm +1. Oh! Just. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Oh, did he double my Ensign? Oh, okay. That's fine. I mean, I still lose. There's not much I can do because I don't have Protect on my Swampert, so I still lose this, unfortunately. I have to kill the Rillaboom. Oh! I don't think it matters. I think that'll kill. I cannot believe this luck. Except I haven't damaged the Incineroar at all. Oh no! I hadn't killed a single one! I haven't been tracking! That feels bad. I can't believe I hadn't taken out a single one. That's just unlucky. Yeah, it's over. He targeted right. Oh well. All right, GG's to my opponent. I am gonna call it there. And I'm gonna start getting set up for the podcast recording. So if you're here for that, give me about 5-ish minutes. I'm gonna go grab a drink of water and get set up on my computer. So yeah, just about 10 minutes and we will be good to go. didn't even realize I was muted, but let's see. All right. So I've got Adobe Audition set up. I'm going to pull this in a little bit more and turn me a little bit down over on the... this should still be fine, I think. I'm going to turn me up. There we go. I think that'll do. I can turn me down here. There we go. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go ahead and get started with recording the next episode of Absurdity that will be live tomorrow. We're actually going to be doing 2 episodes of Absurdity are going live tomorrow because today I discovered one that sat unedited for 6 months or for 4 months, and will go up tomorrow as well. So put that one together today that Tony and I recorded back in August. But we're going to tonight we're talking about COVID relief. We're talking about government aid. And some principles around that. It's just me tonight, no guests, no Tony's not with us either. He's alive, don't worry, but he's not with us currently. But yeah, you're gonna see me record. If I take a weird break or something, then it just means that that's gonna be a break where I insert, I fix that in post-processing after we're done recording. But I'm pulling out a notebook because top tip, if you are ever going to be starting a podcast or doing anything that requires kind of audio sensitive work, but keep a handheld, like physical journal and a pen with you, because to make editing easier on yourself, essentially you can track any timestamps of any errors, any coughs, any sneezes, anything like that. So you don't have to scrub through your episode as you're editing your big file, an hour-long file, trying to find the spots where you may or may not have messed up. So the problem is if you do it in like Google Drive or in a Word document or whatever, the issue is that you get the keyboard type, like the clicking of the keys on your keyboard, those actually come through your audio recording, and that becomes one more thing that you have to remove. But with a pen and paper, it's a lot quieter, so that makes life a lot easier on the editing side. But all right, let me change up this music. Gonna turn that way down. And then all right. So if you're joining us, for the podcast recording, we're about to get started here in just a couple seconds. You're welcome to interact with me. I do have the chat open, so if I see something and once I get to a natural break in the outline, then I'm going to be happy to respond. And that way I can actually make sure I edit that out of the notes. But we're going to jump in here. But before we do, if you want, you can check out absurdnetwork.com/merch for 21% off of all the Absurd Podcast Network merch all the way through January 4. So check that out. 21% off because 2020 is over. That is the discount code. It should be on the top banner every 10 seconds or so. 2020 is over is the discount code. Enter that in on absurdnetwork.com/merch. Click that image. It'll take you to our store, and you can use that promo code and get yourself some merch. But yeah, so tonight we're talking COVID relief, the stimulus that was just passed and is sitting in potential veto purgatory right now. So yeah, yeah, let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to Absurdity. My name is Ryan Becker. I am your host. It is good to be back, and we are in the final week of 2020. We did it. And you know, I think one of the big things surrounding 2020 is there's a lot of people that at this point in the year, or even going into next year, will start to feel a lot of regret or a lot of, what if or what could have been regarding all the free time that they may have had in quarantine. But the reality is that just because we had a lot of free time in quarantine doesn't actually mean that we had the energy or we were in the right mental space. We had, what we needed in order to be successful in any of the projects or whatever that we wanted to accomplish. Like if there was any year for me to grow my YouTube channel and to grow the podcast network and to grow Absurdity, like this would have been that year. And yet this is the year that I had a bunch of health problems. This is the year that prevented content creation. This is the year where I got burnt out. It just hit all of us hard. And that's the reality of it. So, if you're listening to this and you're in that boat of like, man, I wish I would have done more with the time that I had. Let me just tell you that you were successful enough just because you made it to this point. Like, I think the goal for all of us in 2020 was just surviving. So if you made it, congratulations, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad you're listening. I am running a promo right now all the way through January 4. So for the next week, all the way through Monday, January 4, if you go to absurdnetwork.com/merch and you enter promo code 2020 is over, you will get 21% off on on your entire order. So 21% off. I know that's a really specific number. It's because we're about to enter 2021, and I thought that was something that was worth celebrating. So Tony is on vacation, and he will be actually taking the next 6 months to focus fully on school, on relationship, and on like other pieces of his life that really need his time and attention right now. So for the next 6 months or so, we'll revisit after he's finished with the semester. It's just going to be me. Now, not every episode will be a solo episode. That doesn't mean that you're just stuck with only me, but it does mean that it will be me most often, and I am going to try and have some guests on here, but I am committed to getting content out to you. And if you are interested in supporting the podcast in any way, shape, or form, you can actually go to theabsurdity.org, and you'll see a little login or sign up button on the bottom right, $4 a month, and you can join the Absurdity family. You'll get access to a premium part of the Absurdity website for members only. You'll get access to a ad-free version of the podcast for both Absurdity and A Beautiful Faith. You'll get access to that, and it's just $4 a month, and that's never going to change as long as you sign up on that plan. It will always be $4 a month for you. You'll be grandfathered in. You can also, if you want to give more than that or less than that, you can join over on Patreon. Or you can, actually, if you go to theabsurdity.org/donate, we have a PayPal button set up. And if you set up a recurring monthly donation of any amount, I will grant you access, as well. So you'll join the Absurdity family. We'll get you that invite sent. We'll get you everything that you need, to access the members only part of the website. You'll get access to special, special streams, special things that I do for members only as that community grows. So head on over there if you want to support what I'm doing. I'm excited, and I'm excited about 2021 and looking forward to that. But with that being said, let's get into today's topic. We're talking about COVID relief. We're talking about government aid, everything that has kind of happened in the last couple weeks regarding stimulus package and the omnibus bill that went through Congress and was passed by both the House and Senate, and then it currently sits on Trump's desk waiting in purgatory because he's calling for more aid. So on December 21, lawmakers in both chambers of Congress passed a $2.3 trillion spending package. So roughly it's a 1.4 trillion omnibus spending bill. You know, it's a broad spending bill, but it's actually consisting of several different bills, actually 12 different bills to fund the government during 2021, during the fiscal year of 2021. So there was a 1.4 trillion omnibus spending bill, which includes 12 smaller bills. And then there is a approximately $900 or $900 billion bill specifically for COVID-19 relief, right? So you've got this omnibus bill, and the COVID relief was not tacked on as a part of it. It was tacked on as a part of it, but it is a separate bill. So there's currently a lot of myths going out there that like, oh, we're sending all this foreign money or this foreign aid in the form of money to Egypt and a bunch of other countries, but we're only giving $900 billion to us, or we're only doing, we're not helping our own people. We're only sending us $600, but it's a completely different spending bill that's a part of. So it's not that we are doing those things and not doing anything for COVID. That's like a completely different topic. It's a completely separate thing that was always in the plan. And COVID relief is something else entirely. It's a part of a separate thing. So here's what the $900 billion COVID relief bill actually contains. So it's $325 billion in aid to small businesses, which includes a kind of a continuance of the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP loans. There's $120 billion for unemployment assistance, or $300 a week for 11 weeks. There's $82 billion for education, such as K through 12 education grants. There's $56 billion for healthcare, which includes funding for states to do COVID-19 testing. There's $45 billion for transportation, which includes payroll support program for airline workers, not airlines, airline workers who are on the verge of losing their job because people aren't flying anymore, or not as much. Over 1 million flew on Christmas Eve, but that's neither here nor there. And then $83 billion for other spending, such as rental assistance, nutrition programs, et cetera. And then $40 billion for other tax cuts, such as the expand employee retention tax credit. And then there's $166 billion for the stimulus checks. So overall, I agree that $600 is nowhere near enough. The amount of families and households that have been struggling for the last 9 months, and they've only been given $1,200. $600 just kind of feels like a slap in the face. And I'm glad that we're talking about that. I think that that's something that is incredibly important. And I do think that that's valuable enough to hold up a bill like this, that we would talk about it. I do have concerns, though, for example, that the $325 billion that's going in aid to small businesses, including the Paycheck Protection Program, will just be taken advantage of the exact same way the first relief bill was for businesses, which means that all the big corporations that have subsidiaries snatch up the money for their subsidiaries, or large churches do. I think Joel Osteen's church got $4 million or $4.4 million in PPP loans from the government. I'm worried that will happen to that $325 billion in aid to small businesses. And, I do think that Americans need more than $600 or $600 one time. And I think something, though, is more heinous here, because while this bill gets caught up as we're talking about whether $600 aid is something that we should be doing, right? Or if we should increase that to $2,000, because that's the conversation right now, that Trump is holding it up because he wants to see $2,000. House Republicans put that to a vote, hoping to get a unanimous vote on Christmas Eve, and GOP within the House actually blocked it. And so I believe, I'm recording this Sunday night on the 27th, but I believe on Monday the 28th that the House will bring it up. House Democrats will bring it up again for an official vote. It'll go through, and then it's going to be on Senate Republicans it's basically going to be on Mitch to actually put it forth for a vote. And this right before literally a week and a half before, 2 weeks before the key Georgia runoff elections for the Senate, for the two most important seats, because it will determine who has Senate majority for the next 2 years. But I think something far worse is happening under the surface here that enough people aren't talking about, or that not enough people are talking about, which is that 2 federal unemployment aid programs are now going to end. They end on December 31 without this relief bill being signed. Because basically unemployment benefits, not at the state and local level, and there is still like regular unemployment, but additional unemployment help is going to be now stalled if nothing gets passed this week, because the last payment for these 2 other programs, I believe, gets dispensed this week, the week of December 27, and the programs end officially on December 31. So one program called the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, it has been available to the self-employed. It's been available to gig workers and others typically not eligible for unemployment aid because they can't go the normal route since they're freelancers, they're self-employed. And then the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation provided up to 13 weeks of additional payments to individuals who exhausted other programs that pay benefits such as regular state unemployment benefits. So if you've used up all of your state unemployment benefits, there was up to an additional 13 weeks of payments. And there are 14 million people that are currently benefiting from these 2 programs. And unless this bill goes through, or some bill goes through, by the way, because there's some things in this bill that I don't think should be in there at all, but something needs to be done this week in order to protect these people from losing the aid that they've had and that they still need. But I think there's then a grander conversation, because there's a lot of people currently talking about whether or not we should be even giving any aid. And that's kind of honestly disgusting to me, because I don't hear those same people complaining about the amount of spending that went into the first bill toward helping like businesses and companies, like the amount of corporate bailouts that we have done. And I don't hear the same people complaining about those is kind of annoying to me, and it's frustrating to me. I can look at someone like Rand Paul, who voted for a huge aid packet to corporations, but then last week stood up and said that this kind of spending is irresponsible, and that any Republican that votes for this $900 billion bill that's going to send money to Americans, well, they will no longer have any moral ground to stand on. They're hypocrites. They've betrayed their whole fiscally conservative and fiscal responsibility platform in order to needlessly spend money. But this is the same person who voted for aid to go to corporate or corporations. So there's a little bit of that going on, a little bit of hypocrisy there. But I want to actually kind of talk about the entire idea of government aid. Should we be receiving government aid? And I think there's this conversation of like personal responsibility versus government aid, receiving government aid or third-party assistance. And this has always bothered me because we pay taxes. Like, we aren't asking for COVID, like when it comes to COVID relief and pandemic relief funds, we're not asking for money that like isn't ours. We're just asking for some of our money back to pay bills. And I'm not like, sure, I would appreciate having a COVID relief bill. I think it would help in some respects for me, but I'm not in one of the positions of like desperate need. I'm not. It would be something that is beneficial to me, but not something I need. I'm advocating for this for other people. But the bottom line is, like, we're asking for money that we give into the system. We're just asking for that back. And if the government is created by the people, for the people, and to serve the people, then shouldn't we be about government aid? Because government aid is the U.S. or U.S. citizens supporting one another. We all pulled into a system together. We put elected leaders in place to to advocate, to represent, and to lead and make decisions that benefit all of us. And government aid being vilified as this third party coming in and doing something else for you, like that, to me, that just seems disingenuous to what this is. Because if I'm paying taxes, all I'm doing is saying, I want a relief from that. I want some of that back because I want to be able to pay my bills. I'm struggling right now. And the whole, like, it's socialism. It's socialism. We can't rely on the government to redistribute stuff like that. We can't tax people above X percent or X income amount. That whole argument just seems to fall flat on its face when you consider the fact that we already do socialism in many, many ways. Like health insurance, car insurance, any sort of insurance is a form of socialism where the reason that we get aid is because everyone pools in, pays into one pot, making a large enough pot for everyone to now benefit when they need it. The downside to privatized health insurance, and we're going to talk about health insurance specifically here, the downside to privatized health insurance is that there is now a third party involved that has motives and interests that are directly opposed to those they insure, right? Because those that run insurance companies and those that are actually making decisions on whether or not to approve your claim, they have the job, the explicit job of making as much money as possible for them, for the company, and for shareholders. And every time that they approve a claim or an expense, that is less revenue for them and their shareholders and the company. But under a single payer system, we could absolutely limit that incentive or that motive by removing the drive to make money and turning the system into something that works specifically to serve those who need it. Government institutions weren't always meant to make some massive profit like a corporation. Government entities are meant to be profitable insofar as being able to grow and insofar as being able to, scale operations and things like that, but and to be cost effective. But they're not meant to be like Amazon or Google or Apple, where they just bring in billions and billions of dollars in revenue beyond their own expenses. I was actually listening to a debate this morning. I was watching some YouTube videos, as one does when they wake up on Sunday morning. But I was listening to a debate earlier this morning that was where those on the show were discussing this idea of like a single payer Medicare for all system. And one of the guests, he goes by Vaush, Vaush on YouTube, started talking about why capitalism and the free market can't provide something like healthcare. Like we can't rely on capitalism to provide something like healthcare. And I thought what he said here was really poignant and something that I hadn't considered in this way before, but I think it's valid. But let me make this clear real quick. I don't think capitalism is evil, and I'm grateful to live in the country I live in. I like America in general. I may not like Americans all the time, but I like America. I like the country I live in. I'm grateful to be here. But it doesn't prevent me from pointing out flaws in the system. I can love the country in the same way that I can love my denomination and my church. And it's that very love for country, that very love for my faith and my faith community that compels me to talk about things that I see as problems and things that can be fixed. You don't let someone continue to exist in dysfunction if you love them. You do what you can to support them and bring them out of it. So here's the idea that was talked about in this debate. So the basic idea was that capitalism works best when goods and services can be exchanged for currency along a elastic price band or elastic price line, right? A price that can continually shift as supply and demand would dictate. So if you don't want a product or you don't want to pay that much for a product, then you don't buy it. And if enough people don't buy that thing, it tells the company that they either priced too high or they made a product that nobody wanted. And this works for most things as long as those things are optional products and services, because the company can respond to supply and demand, and they can alter prices as necessary because that's what's like, if not, they don't sell anything. But the system breaks down when it comes to products and services that are needed. So I have asthma. I've had asthma since I was a child, and I need inhalers. Like, I have an inhaler. There's one in my room, especially in the winter. In the winter, it's actually worse for me than any other time of year. Or if I'm like exercising in an air-conditioned place like a gym, then it becomes a problem. There's no way really around the reality that I need an inhaler. I can do all the exercises. I can do all the alternate diets. I can get rid of dairy. I can get rid of whatever. But at the end of the day, when I inevitably have a asthma attack at some point, if I don't have an inhaler, I die. Like, that's it. If I don't have an inhaler, if I don't have what I need to live medically, then I die. I don't have a choice but to get an inhaler. This is the same thing that's true for someone who is diabetic or someone who's on insulin. So when those medications and that health care for those, for any sort of chronic illness or any illness whatsoever is needed, companies are now incentivized to charge basically whatever they want, especially if there's no competition. So take Daraprim, for example. Daraprim is the AIDS HIV drug that made headlines in 2015 when Martin Shkreli bought out the company and raised the price of the drug from $13.50 per pill to $750 per pill, pretty much overnight. And then is actually quoted as saying, and I don't have like the direct quote, but he's quoted as saying, "My job is to make as much money as possible for investors, for my company." And the blowback was insane. And Shkreli then would announce, like people ripped him to shreds over this. And he stood by it for a few days. And then he changed his tune after the blowback. And he announced that the price would go down to, quote, an affordable level. And those that argue for capitalism here and those that say, see, the system worked, supply and demand worked, the people demanded a lower price for this drug, and he caved, he acquiesced and said the price would be lowered. Except that the price of Daraprim never lowered. And there was no market alternative for this drug until 2020. And this is like an actual industry norm. Investors and business people will find drugs that have a small market base, right? That have a very limited pool because those drugs naturally don't have a high profit margin since there's not a lot of people that need them. But the people that need them really need them. So what they do is they buy out the drug, they buy out the company, they get the patent, and then they drive prices up, tightly controlling and regulating how those pills are distributed, which prevents other companies from creating affordable alternatives. And the FDA approval process is stressful and incredibly complex and long. Because from 2015 until now, the price never came down, which means that they never caved to demand. But outside of that, 5 years passed until we got an affordable alternative, 2020. When the market controls needed goods, the market proves over and over and over again that it has a greater interest in profitability than in serving people. When it comes to essential goods and services, this is true. This is why there's a big push, by the way, for cable and internet, broadband, all of that being classified as a utility rather than as a just like a privatized business or privatized commodity, because then the price gouging stops from companies like Comcast. Because did you know until like a week ago, cable companies could charge you a rental fee for you to use a router that you already own? Like, you're not even renting a router from them. You're using your own router, and now you have to, you had to pay a rental fee. So that a law literally just passed like 2 weeks ago or a week ago that said that they can't do that anymore. Now, when we're talking about Daraprim, I want to stay on this example here I want to address some of the common arguments that I usually hear about this example, or that I would expect to hear from this example. So someone might say, someone might say, but wait, see, an alternative has been created now. The competition will help drive down the price of Daraprim from $7.50 down, or else they'll just lose the market because now there's an affordable alternative to this drug that is just as effective. Capitalism is working because now there's competition. But for 5 years, a ton of people were unable to afford life-saving medication. If your preferred system, economic, religious, whatever, requires that people needlessly die for you to make a profit, then your system is the one that needs to change, not the people. If your preferred system requires that people needlessly die for you to make a profit, then your system is broken, not the people. 5 years went by before there was competition. And because of anti-competitive practices, by the way, from an unregulated area of the market, largely, that's what we end up with. So point number 2. But Daraprim was cheaper for people with health insurance. It's not $750 per pill for those that have health insurance. And while that may be true, that it's not as expensive for those with health insurance, there's a couple things that I want to point out here. Health insurance costs are going up. Health insurance premiums are going up. Hospitals consistently bill more than they need to, and pharmaceutical companies charge more than they need to, simply because they know that people won't have a choice except to pay. If a diabetic needs insulin, they're going to pay whatever they have to pay, or they just die. And this is a continual cycle that drives up health insurance and healthcare costs across the board. Like, listen to this. In 2019, the Kaiser Family Foundation released the Employer Health Benefits Survey, and they do one every year. And 2019's survey showed that employer-sponsored, not just like independent premiums, but employer-sponsored premiums increased 4% for single and 5% for family coverage, respectively, during 2018, or like over past 2018. So from 2018 to 2019, employer-sponsored premiums increased 4% for single payer, or for single coverage, and 5% for family coverage. And at that same time, and during that same time, wages increased by 3.4% and inflation by 2%. The average family, or the average premium for family coverage, has increased 22% from 2015 to 2019 and 54% from 2009 until 2019, which is significantly faster than the rate of worker inflation or worker wages, or inflation for worker wages, right? So already health insurance premiums are continually rising. And according to the 2020 report, same survey from the Kaiser Family Foundation in 2020, annual premiums for employer-sponsored family health coverage reached $21,342 this year, up 4% from last year, with workers on average paying $5,588 towards the cost of their own coverage. The average deductible among covered workers in a plan with a general annual deductible is $1,644 for single coverage. 4% for employer-sponsored family health coverage, up from 2019, which was up 4% from 2018. So in the last 2 years alone, you have almost 10% increase in costs on average for employer-sponsored health insurance premiums. And all of the price gouging comes over services that are needed, not just optional ones. It's right. It's not like people are going to the hospital for kicks and giggles. They're going because they need medical care. And because of the overcharging, and because people know they can get away with that, it raises it raises prices across the board for all of us. So when Daraprim costs $750 per pill, you say, yeah, the workers aren't paying it. They have health insurance. Yeah, which means someone is paying it. And it's not that someone, like, the problem isn't that it doesn't get paid for. The problem is that it's not a pill that should cost $750 per pill. This stuff is why I talk about a single payer system and why I believe that we can have the government play a more direct role in healthcare costs. It's not that I believe that people shouldn't make money for services they provide or the amazing drugs that they innovate to create. But I do believe that there is an ethical line there that a free market inherently ignores when it comes to goods and services. But Ryan, the government doesn't work. We need smaller government, not more government. Well, I'm not asking for government to run everything that we do. I'm asking that the system of governments we created and that we created and that we elect officials to work in should actually serve the people that fund it. I'm asking for the government to cover the things that are considered essential, like healthcare. And I'm so tired of the whole, like, government doesn't work, government is broken argument. But this is the entire conservative mantra, right? The government doesn't work. The government fails. You can't rely on the government to do anything. If you do, it's just going to fail you. It's going to turn on you, whatever. The problem with this mantra is that the government does work when we make it work. But for conservatives to prove their platform correct, they intentionally set up government organizations and entities to fail in order to then say, see, we told you government doesn't work. Yeah, because you broke it on purpose. Like, it's quite literally political gaslighting. I'm not going to take off my watch and throw it on the ground or take my phone and throw it on the ground and tell you that iPhones don't work. If I throw it on the ground and break my iPhone or my watch, I'm the one that broke it. I'm the problem there. There's this economic idea dating back to, I believe, the 60s. I mean, it's existed for longer, but actually as a term, I think it was in the 60s, called starving the beast. This is the idea that by decreasing taxes, you are decreasing funding to the government, thus also decreasing spending from the government. So this is a conservative strategy that's been employed since then to basically say, like, if we lower taxes, we lower revenue into the government, which means that there's less money to spend, so we reduce spending by reducing income. When employed successfully, this means that government institutions will actually start to fail because they don't end up with the funding that they need. And when this inevitably happens, conservatives are then quick to say, the government can't take care of you. See, it's inefficient. And look, we actually watched this play out with the USPS this year, with the United States Postal Service this year. They put someone who has stock ownership in the private sector for delivery services, Louis DeJoy, he was installed by conservative leadership. And we started to see the USPS completely fall to pieces in the middle of the year. Now, there's speculation as to what the overall point of this was in light of the election using more mail-in voting. Many believe that, like, this was an intentional move by Republicans to cast doubt on the accuracy and reliability of mail-in voting as a system, knowing that more Democrats would be more likely to mail-in vote. I think and I tend to fall on that side of thinking like that was an intentional strategy for Trump to basically tell all of his followers, you can't trust mail-in voting, and then have the USPS completely kind of not dismantled, but handicapped significantly, so that then when all of the mail-in votes come in and they're overwhelmingly blue, they're overwhelmingly for Biden because Trump told all of his voters not to vote that way, then Trump can cry foul and say, see, like, there's no way this is real. There's no way these are accurate. Something fishy is happening. But either way, like, all of that aside, now it suddenly seems like the post office is failing the U.S. because, well, it doesn't have what it needs to be successful. In fact, it's been intentionally handicapped by the person in charge. You have trucks going out empty just because they want to stay, quote, on schedule. But the post office has always been one of our country's most robust and reliable government systems. It rarely fails. But suddenly it's unreliable within 6 months of conservative leadership installing someone who would also personally benefit from the failure of the Postal Service, driving people to use alternate delivery companies like UPS and FedEx. Back in April, Trump actually famously railed against the USPS, saying the Postal Service is a joke because they're handing out packages for Amazon and other internet companies, and every time they bring a package, they lose money on it. And this is funny for a number of reasons, but the main one being that that's actually one of the, like, that deal that the post office has with Amazon is actually one of their more profitable ones. But the major reason that the USPS's funding is so screwed up is because of something that was introduced by Republicans in 2006 and signed into law by President Bush. Republicans introduced the let me look this up real quick. So in 2006, Republicans introduced the Postal Accountability Enhancement Act, or Postal Accountability and Enhancement Act, which basically required the Postal Service, the post office, to pre-fund future retiree health benefits, not just pensions. And the law put a financial strain on the service, right? So it reorganized the Postal Rate Commission, compelled the USPS to pay in advance for the health and retirement benefits of all of its employees for at least 50 years. And no other federal agency, by the way, faces any sort of pre-funding mandate for that. No other federal agency. In the private sector that exists, but it exists slightly differently from this. But this is unheard of for government agencies prior to this being passed. Between 2007 and 2016, the United States Postal Service lost... I just dropped something. Between 2007 and 2016, the USPS lost $62.4 billion. And the Inspector General in 2019 of the Postal Service estimated that 54.8 billion of that was due to pre-funding retiree benefits. And by 2012, the Postal Service was already defaulting on this specific payment. And this is just like the most recent and pointed example that impacted all of us because suddenly we weren't getting packages and they were sitting in limbo or not getting mail. Now, granted, there's other reasons, right? There's other reasons for the loss in revenue. More people using email, less people actually sending things, less postage being bought. You know, like there's a whole smorgasbord of reasons, but when out of $62.4 billion, 54.8 of it was lost because of this, that's significant. And it was Republicans that introduced it. It was conservatives that signed it into law. And given enough time on any given topic, I believe one could reasonably make the case that many of our government institutions are failing by way of people intentionally destroying it in order to make the case that government is failing in order to put more power and profit into the hands of the private sector. This is political gaslighting. That's what this is. I don't like, there's no sugarcoating that. If you're a Republican and you're listening to this, I'm surprised you've made it this far because most people would have turned it off by me bringing them up in the first place. But like, I'm not against Republicans in general, but I am against this entirely frustrating cycle of conservatives getting power, dismantling the government or a government institution, and then saying, see, that government institution is broken. You want another example? Trump disbanding the task force on pandemic relief, on pandemic study and prep and response. There's one for you. Because now the government was on the back foot when an actual pandemic hit. And the government hasn't actually passed that much in the way of relief, right? We've only gotten one $1,200 check, maybe a PPP loan here or there. But honestly, the government hasn't really done much in the last few years. And here's why. Mitch McConnell, the Republican majority leader in the Senate, openly bragged earlier this year about almost 400 bills that were sitting on his desk in his office that he would never allow to even be put up for a vote because of their, quote, left-wing agenda. It's not like he's hogtied or too busy. It's not like he can't actually put these up for a vote, because he had no problem ramming the Amy Barrett Cohen nomination through right after Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. Like, this isn't, the government can move efficiently when they want to. But when your entire platform relies on the government not doing what it's supposed to be able to do, then you're incentivized to try and break it in order to prove your own point and to maintain power. But when we decide to actually elect leaders that actually aim to serve the people, we get a government that can actually function and perform the will of the people. And by the way, it's not just a Mitch McConnell thing. Like, Mitch McConnell is just the guy that's willing to be the antagonist and be the enemy. But like, the bottom line is Senate Republicans could put up for a vote and remove him at any point in time as the majority leader and replace him. But they don't, which means they're complicit in all of this as well. And no, I'm not saying Democrats are perfect. So if like that's something that you're going to jump on, like, I'm not saying that. This isn't the time for whataboutism. I'm talking about one very specific thing here. The failing government the failing government argument assumes that the failure of government is destiny, that it can do no other than to fail. Yet that argument is usually built on a foundation of people intentionally making it fail in order to keep making that argument. There's a really popular kind of theory or kind of school of thought right now that's saying that it's likely that the Supreme Court doesn't, even with their 6-3 majority, doesn't overturn Roe v. Wade because they would lose all of their single issue voters. All the single issue voters that are voting in favor of Republicans would have no reason to vote for Republicans anymore if they were able to overturn Roe v. Wade, completely outlaw abortion or whatever. That's like a thing. So there's a school of thought that basically is assuming or presuming that the Supreme Court's not actually going to overturn Roe v. Wade because the GOP would lose a major part of their platform. Because when the Southern strategy, the Southern strategy kicked in the 60s, and when desegregation happened, when Jim Crow laws were ended, there was a lot of platform that the conservatives lost. And abortion became the very next thing that they took in order to still have a realistic platform. But I'm sick of this bootstraps argument that people try and make all the time. Like, you know, it's personal responsibility. The government shouldn't try and help you. As if pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is even something you can physically do. Like, the entire point of that saying is that it's impossible. The government has a responsibility to serve its citizens with the money that its citizens give it. It's not some third party supporting or propping up lazy Americans. It's Americans taking care of Americans by way of taxpayer dollars. That's what it is. It's us taking care of each other. This one shouldn't be hard. And like, we've so overly politicized all of this that now it's become hard. But it didn't need to be. And it doesn't need to be. And right now we're sitting on the cusp of 14 million people losing needed unemployment assistance and aid because we're going to fight over $600. And I hope that something happens this week that's good. I hope that something is different. But the only thing I can say at the end of this is, like, this is why it's so important to vote. If you're in the state of Georgia and you're listening to this week, like, please vote in the Senate runoff race. Please vote. And you're welcome to look into those running and understand just who you're voting for here. But please vote. It's incredibly important. It really honestly decides how functional of a government we're going to have for the next 2 years. But ultimately, I would say this. If you are in a position of need, I pray that you will get the help that you need. I pray that you will get the support that you need. I'm proud of you and I believe in you. I'm proud of you for making it this far. And I believe in your ability to still struggle through this and tough it out as much as you can. But don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. For the rest of us, it's incredibly important that we vote whenever we have the opportunity to make our voice heard, in order to elect officials that will represent us, represent the will of the people, and actually help us. Because it's outright absurd that in 9 months, with a bunch of unemployment, we are actually sitting here arguing over whether or not we're going to get an additional just $600. It is absurd that after 9 months of a pandemic, all that Americans can get is $1,800, and even $1,800 is almost not going to happen. We need to do better than this. And the only way we do better is by making our voices heard through the voting process. So with that, thank you guys so much for listening. Go check out Absurdity's membership platforms. Go check out the Absurd Podcast Network and copy yourself up some merch. All links are in the episode description. Kaiser Family Survey links are in the description as well. But we will see you soon. I'll be posting bonus content for the Absurdity family this month as well or through January. But thank you guys so much for being a part of this. For those of you that are joining on the live stream, thanks for watching. I'll hang out for a couple minutes after I stop recording here and we'll chat for a bit. But yeah, we'll see you all next time. All right. We have finished recording the show. I have no idea. I don't even have my YouTube dashboard up, so I don't know how many people are here. If no one's here, cool. But if you are here, Dean, I hope you're doing well, man. I remember meeting you a few years ago at the Pathfinder event that we did. But it is good to have you here. Glad you're here. And I have played Fortnite before. It's not for me. Too mechanically intensive for the building aspect of things. It's just not my style. But Fortnite is cool if you're still here. But yeah. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in, for hanging out. I hope that you all have a good night. I'm going to try and stream every day this week if I can. Get some more content out there for you. Hang out, play some video games, and just chill for a bit. So with that, everyone, have a great night, and I will see you guys tomorrow.